On New Year's Eve, as fireworks lit the sky over Malibu, something far more explosive was unraveling inside the walls of the Forrester Cliff house. Music played, champagne flowed, and family members toasted to new beginnings. But upstairs, in the quiet of a guest bedroom, a nightmare was unfolding. Kelly Spencer had vanished. One moment she was playing with a toy unicorn in her room. The next, the window was ajar and her bed was empty. No note, no signs of struggle. Just a sinking silence that gripped Steffi Forrester with instant dread. Panic followed. Screams echoed through the halls. Security was called. Ridge, Taylor, and Thomas rushed over. Liam arrived within 20 minutes, breathless and wide-eyed. And then came the message. A text sent to Steffi's phone at exactly 12:01 a.m. "We have your daughter. Do not call the police. She'll be returned in exchange for $50 million. The kidnapper is one of your own, A. Spencer." That line detonated in the room like a bomb. Liam's hands shook. His first instinct was denial. Then rage. Who would do this? Why? But the message was specific. Personal. Targeted. A Spencer. Not some outsider. Someone close. Someone trusted. The list of suspects formed instantly. Unspoken but vicious. Liam glared at his brother. Wyatt's not here. Why isn't Wyatt here? Steffi snapped. Are you serious? You think your brother would kidnap his niece? Katie, standing in the corner pale and stiff, muttered, It's not impossible. But I don't think Wyatt would do this. If it's a Spencer, my bet's on Quinn. She's always hated Steffi. She's always wanted leverage. Brooke cut in sharply. No, this isn't Quinn. This reeks of Sheila. Ridge shook his head. The message said a Spencer. Sheila's evil, but she's not delusional. Liam was already on the phone with Justin Barber, pulling every connection he had to track the number. Meanwhile, Steffi contacted the Forrester security team to review every camera. But whoever did this knew the house. They'd disabled surveillance around the perimeter hours earlier. There was no footage of the abduction. The ransom instructions were clear. No cops, no stalling. No questions. Just deliver the money within 24 hours. The drop location would follow. But the real hunt started with a question no one wanted to answer. Who had a motive? Liam started spiraling. Wyatt, and he had clashed recently over the restructuring of Spencer Publications. Wyatt had been furious about Liam's secret bid for control during Bill's recovery. And now this? Could Wyatt have snapped? Or worse, was Bill himself playing some twisted game of power? The man had lost time, lost memory, and come dangerously close to losing everything. Could he have staged a kidnapping to force Liam into submission? Steffi had her own doubts. She confronted her father in private. Tell me the truth. Do you think Mom could be hiding something? Ridge's face went tight. Taylor would never hurt Kelly. But she was gone all night, Ridge. And she's grieving. She's not plotting. But as tensions rose, the real breakthrough came not from technology, but from instinct. Thomas remembered something odd. A conversation with the new housekeeper, Alex. A man hired only 3 weeks prior through a domestic staffing agency. Quiet, polite, efficient, but strangely curious. He'd asked about the family, about the house, about Kelly. When they pulled Alex's file, it looked clean, too clean. Justin's team ran it again. That's when the truth surfaced. Alex wasn't his real name. His birth certificate traced back to a different identity. Same birth year, different parents. A mother who'd passed years ago. No listed father. But the hospital records, sealed until now, held the key. The attending physician? Dr. Taylor Hayes. Taylor had had a son. A child born during her disappearance years ago. One no one ever spoke about. One she apparently never told Ridge, Steffi, or Thomas about. And now that child had grown up in foster homes, discarded, unnamed, and angry. The truth hit like a tidal wave. Alex was Taylor's lost son. And he had taken Kelly. Not for money. Not for revenge. But for recognition. For justice. He believed the Forresters and Spencers had abandoned him. That Kelly represented the golden life he was denied. That by taking her, he was forcing them to feel what he had felt for decades, powerless. The drop location came through at dawn. Big Bear. The rescue team went silent. No police. No media. Just Liam, Ridge, and Thomas. Against Steffi's protests, Liam insisted on going. She's my daughter. I don't care who he is. I'm getting her back. The cabin in Big Bear was isolated, tucked behind a thicket of pines, barely visible from the trail. Inside, Kelly sat unharmed, watching cartoons, her voice hoarse but calm. Alex was there armed. Unstable, but not violent. He didn't try to run. He didn't make threats. He simply stood, looked at Ridge, then Liam, and said, "You took everything. I just wanted to feel what it's like to matter." Liam didn't speak. He moved forward slowly, picked Kelly up in his arms, and held her like he'd never let go. Alex was arrested at sunrise. Kelly was safe. But nothing else was. Back in Malibu. The fallout exploded. Taylor was inconsolable. She hadn't known. Not fully. The child had been taken from her at birth. She was told he didn't survive. It had broken her. And now this. Liam could barely look at Steffi. "You didn't even question your mother," he said. "You protected her. While I was ready to accuse my own brother." Steffi shot back. "And you doubted your own father." "We all broke tonight." And they had. Katie lashed out at Brooke for blaming Sheila. Wyatt stormed into the Cliff house demanding answers. Bill called an emergency meeting at Spencer, citing security breaches and reputational damage. The press caught wind of the kidnapping. Photos leaked. The ransom text went viral. Everyone had questions. No one had answers. What should have been a celebration of the new year had become the beginning of a deep unraveling. Trust was shattered. Marriages cracked. Alliances burned. And the truth sat in the middle like an unmovable weight. Taylor's son had come back from the shadows. Not for inheritance. Not for war. But for belonging. Now he was gone again. But the scars he left were permanent. And as Kelly slept soundly in her bed that night, the rest of the Forrester-Spencer-Logan world lay awake, haunted not by the kidnapping itself, but by how quickly they turned on each other when the lights went out. In the bold and the beautiful, blood may be thicker than water, but fear always cuts deeper. In the ruthless world of fashion, image is everything. And this week on The Bold and the Beautiful, that image fractures under the crushing weight of secrets, scandals, and survival instincts. As the Brooks bedroom brand stands on the brink of financial collapse, Brooke Logan makes a decision so risky, so desperate, it threatens to destroy not just her business, but her freedom. Sales for Brooke's bedroom have been plummeting for months. Changing trends, aggressive competition, internal sabotage from rival divisions, every pressure has mounted. The board at Forrester Creations grew impatient. Ridge suggested a rebrand. Steffi wanted a merger. Hope pushed for a social justice alignment. But Brooke refused to let her legacy die in someone else's hands. This was her brand. Her identity. Her triumph. She wouldn't let it drown quietly. So she acted. Alone. Behind closed doors. Away from the scrutiny of Ridge, Eric, or even Hope, Brooke met with a private investor recommended by an anonymous contact. The man was slick. Connected. No obvious ties to criminal behavior. He promised quick cash, no paperwork, no oversight, just a lump sum in an offshore account, enough to rehire a new design team, secure ad space for the upcoming lingerie show, and stage a sensational revival at the spring launch. What Brooke didn't know or refused to fully examine was that the fund she had drawn from wasn't just shady. It was toxic. A high-risk hedge fund tied to multiple fronts, laundering dirty money through shell corporations. On paper, the investor appeared legitimate. In reality, He was a front for Sheila Carter, operating under one of her many aliases and exploiting her web of influence through offshore banking networks. The money stabilized Brooke's bedroom. For a moment, everything seemed to work. Social media buzz returned. Models rehearsed new routines. A-list influencers signed NDAs. The press called it the most anticipated comeback in Forrester's recent history, and Brooke felt something she hadn't felt in years: control. But then the wire transfer leaked. A whistleblower inside the financial firm sent an encrypted report to the LA Times business desk. The report detailed suspicious transfers from the same fund connected to drug trafficking operations in Southeast Asia, racketeering cases in Eastern Europe, and financial fraud across Silicon Valley. One of those transfers? A direct injection of $5 million into Forrester Creations, tagged Marketing Advancement, Brooke's bedroom. By the time Ridge saw the story, it was too late. Paparazzi swarmed the showroom. Headlines exploded. Brooke Logan's brand funded by criminal enterprise? Forrester financed by global laundering ring? The Department of Justice launched a preliminary inquiry. Bank accounts were frozen. The lingerie show was halted mid-runway rehearsal. The models were sent home. Fashion Week pulled Brooke's bedroom from its calendar. And Brooke, stunned, cornered, and now considered complicit, was summoned for questioning. Ridge confronted her in private. "Tell me you didn't take money from them." "I didn't know," Brooke whispered, barely able to speak. He slammed the door. "You didn't ask. You didn't tell me. You let Sheila in through the back door of this company." Brooke broke. She admitted everything. The meetings, the loan, the paper trail, her fear, her need to save the line that bore her name. "It wasn't about ego," she said. "It was about not letting myself become irrelevant." But it didn't matter. The damage was done. The DOJ wasn't interested in excuses. They were interested in intent. And as far as they could prove, Brooke had accepted illicit funds and funneled them into an international brand, knowingly or not. That made her liable. Ridge had no choice. He went to the one person he despised more than anyone else: Bill Spencer. They met after hours at the Spencer Tower, away from cameras. Ridge laid it out. "Sheila's behind the money. Brooke's going to take the fall. You know how she operates. You've had your own history with her. Help me prove Brooke was set up, or she goes to prison." Bill didn't blink. "You want my help? After years of treating me like I wasn't good enough for her?" Ridge nodded. "I want Brooke free. Whatever it takes." Bill stared at him for a long beat. "Then, fine. But you stay out of my way. You screw this up with your temper, and she will go down." Bill mobilized fast. Within 24 hours, his private intelligence team traced the fund's ownership to a holding company in the Cayman Islands. From there, a trail led to a false identity linked to Sheila Carter. Bill had crossed paths with her before. He recognized her style: strategic financial destruction masquerading as generosity. But Sheila had covered her tracks well. The only proof was a security recording at a private banking firm in Zurich, where a woman using the alias Melinda Gaines had authorized the wire Brooke received. The woman wore a mask, wig, and contact lenses, but her posture, speech patterns, and partial facial profile were enough for AI reconstruction software to match 89% certainty to Sheila Carter. That wasn't enough to convict Sheila, but it was enough to clear Brooke, if presented correctly. Bill made the case to DOJ contacts. You don't need a scandal with a legacy fashion house while you're prosecuting cartel-linked accounts. You want the source, not the face. He offered to provide full access to his findings if they dropped Brooke from the investigation. The DOJ relented. Brooke was released from scrutiny, but not without a price. She had to resign from Brooke's bedroom. Publicly. She had to issue a statement admitting poor judgment. She had to return the funds, even if it meant surrendering personal assets. She signed the documents. Quietly. Tearfully. The press called it a rebranding pivot. Internally, it was exile. Brooke's bedroom was folded into hope for the future as a legacy sub-brand. Donna and Katie took over marketing oversight. Brooke was benched from design review. And Ridge? He stood beside her at the press conference, but the pain in his eyes was clear. "You should have come to me," he said once it was over. "Before you went to the devil." "I thought I was already out of time," Brooke whispered. Bill walked past them both. He gave Brooke one nod of respect. "You're welcome," he said to Ridge, and left without looking back. Sheila, somewhere far beyond the city limits, smiled at the footage on her burner phone. She didn't need to destroy Brooke's life with bullets or blackmail. She just had to let Brooke destroy it herself, with a little push. And she wasn't finished yet. Because if Brooke could fall...